Ladies and gentlemen, could you please rise for the entrance of the University of Saskatchewan 2018 Spring Convocation graduates?
Would the graduands please turn and face the platform? Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Spring Convocation 2018. Would you please join our vocalist, Angela Jurichanin, in the singing of O Canada? Please be seated. Once again, graduands, families, distinguished guests, and those who are watching it on live stream, welcome to the 2018 Spring Convocation. My name is Beth Bilson. I'm the University Secretary, and I have the honor of introducing to you the members of the platform party that you see before you. So beginning with the front row on my left, your right, Russ Eisinger, University Registrar, Patty McDougall, Vice Provost Teaching, Learning and Student Experience, Karen Chad, Vice President Research, Dale Claude, recipient of the University's Staff Excellence Award, Grit McCreath, Honorary Ambassador of the University of Saskatchewan, Mary Beasley, representing the University of Saskatchewan Retirees Association, Tony Vanelli, Provost and Vice President Academic, President Peter Stoichev, Chancellor Roy Romano, Dave King, this morning's recipient of an honorary degree, Chad London, Dean, College of Kinesiology, who will be presenting today's honorary degree recipient, Suzanne Cresta, Dean, College of Engineering, Trevor Crow, Dean, College of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, Henry Gardapi, Traditional Knowledge Keeper. And in the second row, our orators, Shirley Haynes and Kathleen James Cavan, Senators Jim Pulfer, Linda Browning, Lori Eisinger, David Buckingham, MLA for Westview, Edgar Martinez Soberanis, Graduate Student Association Vice President, Student Affairs, Bruce Sparling, Associate Dean Academic, College of Engineering. And behind them, and I would ask them to stand, members of the faculty of the University of Saskatchewan. Would you please join me in expressing to all of these faculty, administration, and members of our governing bodies our thanks for the work they have done in supporting, teaching, and encouraging our graduates. We acknowledge the traditional territory of Treaty 6 and the homeland of the Métis on which we have gathered for this event. We pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. Please stand as you are able for the honor song. Please be seated.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is wonderful to see so many people here on this very, very special day. It's a day for us to honor all of the graduands you see before you and to help to celebrate together their successes. I just want to confirm we do not dress like this every day when we go to work. Some of us at home. I do when I go out to get the mail. Eminent Chancellor, graduates and families, honored guests, I thank the many people who are here today to be part of this moment in the University of Saskatchewan's history, and what a moment it is. In particular, I want to acknowledge today's knowledge keeper, Henry Gardapi, the Buffalo Boys drum group who sang the honor song for us, our honorary degree recipient, Dave King, from whom you will be hearing shortly, MLA David Buckingham, thank you very much, sir, for being here today. Honorary Ambassador Grit McCreath, who's here from Calgary on this special occasion, and the orchestra playing for us today. You'll be hearing from them later in the program again as well. I also acknowledge the many faculty behind me on the stage here who are the core of the university. They have been leaders and mentors for so many of you who will graduate today. We're here to celebrate a milestone in the lives of the graduands who will soon cross this stage. We're proud of them. They're proud of what they've done. Life is richer when we collectively acknowledge success and hard work and rites of passage such as this one today. We're also here because this university has brought us together. A university is a wonderful thing, a great experiment in the ongoing conversation that we call democracy. Universities are crucial participants in that conversation. We're so fortunate to be in Canada and to have the freedoms that we have. Given the world we're in now, where it is difficult to separate out what's true and what's not true, where our future depends on knowledge and the correct use of it, where research holds the key to our greatest challenges, where free speech and informed speech are critical to our humanity, universities are needed more than they have ever been, and the University of Saskatchewan is needed more than it has ever been. What all of you crossing this stage today, strengthened with a University of Saskatchewan degree, go on to do in your lives will matter immensely to our collective future. You did all the work, went to the classes for the most part, wrote the essays and assignments and exams, and earned the right to be here in this moment today. But you and I know that many others helped. So take the time to thank your spouses and partners, parents and grandparents, friends, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, communities, elementary school teachers, high school teachers, the professors you appreciated, or your classmates who helped you out, because you don't achieve something this big without a lot of help along the way. Many graduands across the country are sitting in seats like you are, in auditoriums like this one right now, getting their university degrees. But I want to tell you that there is something special about a U of S degree. And it's because at this university, we govern ourselves not only on the basis of what we want to be, but what the world needs us to be. The world needs great engineers, and the U of S has graduated many and has been the home to many, including C.J. Mackenzie, President of the National Research Council, first President of the Atomic Energy of Canada, and single most important figure in the growth of Canadian post-war science. The world needs cures for cancer, and we are the home of the cobalt-60 radiation therapy that revolutionized cancer treatment in 1951 and saved the lives of millions of cancer patients around the world. The small Acme machine and electric company around the corner from us on Idlewild Drive built the casing not far from here. U of S medical researchers built the concept. Many thousands of patients were treated here over the next 20 years until it was replaced with newer technology in 1971. Sylvia Fedorik, who later became Saskatchewan's Lieutenant Governor and after that our Chancellor, was a graduate student member of that project's team. Significant cancer research continues at the U of S, building on that world-famous history. The world needs thoughtful, educated, and humane leaders, and some of the country's most formative holders of high office got their degrees here. Among them are Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, Governor General Ray Natishan, premiers such as Scott Moe, and Chancellor Roy Romano. 9 Canadian premiers have now been students at the U of S. Many lieutenant governors of Saskatchewan, including Tom Malloy, a former U of S chancellor, and of other provinces, including Ontario's current Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Dowdeswell. Many Canadian ambassadors to countries around the world. Dozens of high-ranking public servants in Ottawa, such as Gordon Thiessen, former Governor of the Bank of Canada. Aboriginal leaders, like our previous Chancellor Blaine Fable, former Chief of the FSIN. The world needs groundbreaking researchers who change how we understand the world we live in. And people who went on to receive Nobel Prizes were here. One was chemistry graduate student Henry Tobey, who received it in 1983. Another Nobel laureate from the U of S was Gerhard Herzberg, who was offered a position in physics in 1935 by our first president, Walter Murray, to escape Nazi Germany when no other university on this continent had the vision or the humanity to offer him one. Herzberg won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1971. The world needs great writers, and writers such as Sharon Butala, who wrote Perfection of the Morning, 3-time Governor General's Award winner Guy Vanderhaeg were here. Hilda Neatby, who wrote the controversial book on Canadian education, So Little for the Mind. Gail Bowen, author of 23 novels and plays and just awarded the Saskatchewan Order of Merit. David Carpenter, an honorary degree recipient this week. The world needs open-minded, courageous, and compassionate members of the justice sector, and we have graduated many. Supreme Court Justice Emmett Hall was a student here, a law school classmate of John Diefenbaker's, and Diefenbaker later became our Chancellor. Justice Hall's report for the 1964 Royal Commission on National Health Care Services recommended that Canada adopt Saskatchewan's public health insurance model. In it, he wrote that the only thing more expensive than good health care is no health care. Emmett Hall later became Chancellor of the U of S. Roy Romano, another law school alumnus and now our Chancellor, authored in 2002 the only other Royal Commission on the Future of Health Care in Canada. These aren't examples only of justice in action, they're examples of social justice in action. The world needs great athletes and coaches, and Olympian Sandra Schmerler, Coach Lyle Sanderson, track athlete Diane Jones-Konahowski. NHL coaches Mike Babcock and Dave King were at the U of S. In fact, recently 4 of the NHL's head coaches were student athletes here with Huskies hockey. And we think again of the athletes and leaders and those supporting them who lost their lives in the Humboldt Broncos tragedy, some of whom were U of S students, and who put in perspective for us today what a privilege it is to be here celebrating the futures of our young people. The world needs peace, sometimes hard fought. And in this, the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War, I am also reminded of the 345 U of S students, faculty, and staff who enlisted in it. 69 sacrificed themselves in the line of duty. They're commemorated on the university's memorial gates on College Drive. More than 100 more were wounded and 35 were awarded medals of valor. The university gave so many brave soldiers to the cause that the College of Engineering closed its doors for the 1916-17 academic year when the faculty, staff, and students enlisted en masse. More U of S soldiers were killed in the war than graduated from here in 1918, exactly 100 years ago from this convocation we are celebrating today. These are examples of what I mean when I say that we're the university the world needs. Now in our 2nd century, enjoying a time of peace here secured by those who went before us, and by the accomplishments of our alumni and faculty, we are seen as a research leader in the country with Canada's only synchrotron, where we have pioneered how to produce medical isotopes without using a nuclear reactor. There is a huge national and international demand for these isotopes due to the closure of Chalk River just a few weeks ago. And our cyclotron is now providing all the medical isotopes to Royal University Hospital, a fitting homage to that cobalt-60 work that was done here over half a century ago. The world needs to provide food to its rapidly growing population. In order to meet the world's food needs, agricultural productivity needs to almost double. Our Global Institute for Food Security is helping to do just that. The world needs to understand the reasons for droughts and floods to safeguard our communities against tragedies such as recent ones in Calgary, Houston, New Brunswick, BC, and Saskatchewan. Our Global Institute for Water Security, the largest university-led research center on water security in the world, is doing just that. These two institutes are also examples of how we bring together different parts of the university to work on global problems. With 17 colleges and graduate schools, we have more than any Canadian university of our size does. This is a crucial feature of who we are, because although we do not know what the solutions are to the major challenges facing us today, we do know this, that none of them will be solved by a single discipline or by a single person, but by many people from many disciplines working together. We are poised to help do that with faculty like the ones on the stage before you, who are at the cutting edge of research, scholarly, and artistic work. All these things matter. They demonstrate why we are one of the top 15 research-intensive universities in the country, and why the U of S leads all Canada's 96 universities when it comes to the per capita economic impact on the surrounding region. They demonstrate how we help make our province, Canada, and the world a better place. Saskatoon, too. Great cities need and deserve great universities. A strong relationship between the two is crucial, and we are fortunate to have one with the City of Saskatoon. A formal partnership that is the first of its kind in Canada between a major university and the city it's in. I say all this to emphasize that the U of S degree you've worked hard to receive today has tremendous value. Many employers tell me that when they see an application from a U of S engineering grad, it gets special attention because the quality of the university is so high and because of its graduates' work ethic that's part of our prairie roots. And also, because you haven't just learned one particular area of study, you've learned how to transfer what you've learned in one discipline to what is needed in another. You've learned about excellence, and excellence is a transferable skill. Why does that matter? Because we will all need to be able to solve problems we can't even imagine today. Saskatchewan's future will depend upon it. The world's will. 44% of the available jobs in this province require the skills and knowledge that a university education provides, but only 25% of Saskatchewan's workforce has a university education. This underscores the critical importance of investing in higher education and the fact that we are a crucial part of the province's future success. The U of S is a leader in helping Saskatchewan stay ahead of the innovation curve. Without our kind of research and teaching, there is no innovation. And without innovation, there is a diminished future for all of us. So now more than ever before, we all need people with degrees like yours from a university like yours to help build a more sustainable world, a more equitable world, a world with the courage to embrace diversity. I am proud that we now have students from over 109 countries attending the U of S, and many of those countries are represented by graduates here today. The world also needs us to be a country that responds to the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, because as its chair, Senator Murray Sinclair stated at the U of S just 2 years ago, education is the key to reconciliation. I am grateful that the U of S is seen in this country as a participant, not a bystander, in building reconciliation. And this year we have more Indigenous students at our university than ever before in our history. In 1915, Annie Mackay became the first Indigenous student to graduate from here, and she went on to work at the university for 44 years. At this week's ceremonies, almost 400 Indigenous students will graduate. This year, more than 3,100 Indigenous students are enrolled at the U of S, up 28% over the last 5 years. We are at a time when the country faces the greatest cultural challenge and opportunity of its entire history. Being the university the world needs today means committing to reconciliation, not to supplant traditional Western understanding, but to enrich it, acknowledge thousands of years of deep learning that occurred here long prior to it, and give all students a more informed and ultimately more compassionate understanding of the world, knowing that the measure of a civilization is its compassion, not its ability to consume. Achieving this will take a strategic mixture of patience and impatience, and it will take time. But as Walter Murray wrote to a friend in 1908 when traveling here to begin his work as our first president, we are building for centuries. So in the end, what's all this that you're achieving today about? Only you, the graduates here today, can actually answer that for yourselves. But part of it is about being able to contribute to your community, this province, this country, to be a person the world needs in your own right. For me, it's always been about a passion for the idea of a university, a radical experiment in human culture, a place where we learn to be humble servants of a democratic society and respectful critics of it, where we can be building for centuries. For the Annie Mackays, Roy Romanows, John Diefenbakers, Gerhard Hertzbergs, Hilda Neatbys, Sharon Butellas, Emmett Halls, Sylvia Fedoricks, and Dave Kings of the world, it was about something else. None of them, while at university, knew exactly where they were headed, but they knew to listen for a passion to follow, and that became an endless journey. For you, it will be something else. It doesn't matter exactly what it is, but be passionate and compassionate about it and use it for good. So congratulations, graduands, and let the show begin.
Eminent Chancellor, President Stoichev, honored guests, colleagues, graduates, families, and friends. My name is Dr. Chad London, and I am pleased to present this morning's honorary degree recipient, Dave King. Coach King's remarkable career is in its 5th decade and continues today. It's spanned over every level of elite hockey in Canada and internationally. His coaching journey has taken him to lead teams in Germany, Russia, Sweden, and Japan. He's coached in the NHL and, of course, our Canadian national teams and at the Olympics. We all had the opportunity this morning to stand alongside him as O Canada was played, and it was an honor for me and I think for everyone as he led Canada into competition so many times and stood for our national anthem. Mr. King has been made a member of the Order of Canada, named to the Order of Hockey in Canada, and has been inducted to our own Husky Athletics Wall of Fame, and really more halls of fame than I can even mention, given the time permitted. We are privileged to claim Coach King as a legendary figure in the history of hockey at the University of Saskatchewan, and his roots will always be here in our province. Born in North Battleford and coming to the U of S as a student, he played on the Huskies hockey team for 4 years. After completing his education degree, he moved on to teaching high school. And when Mr. King returned to the U of S in 1979 as the Huskies head coach, he was taking on a massive challenge. The team's record was bleak and was consistently in last place in the Canada West Conference. But this is where the legend of Coach Dave King began. Building from the ground up, he overhauled the program, And by the very next year, within 1 year, we were the Canada West champions. The Huskies went on to win our first and only national championship banner in 1983. And in only 4 years, Coach King had taken the Huskies from last place to the highest achievement possible in Canadian university hockey. Championship teams are not magical. They are the result of dedicated, hardworking athletes that are giving their best efforts through training at every practice and in every game. They're led by coaches who know how to maximize skill and inspire their players. Coach King was a pioneer in advancing the science of hockey, taking the game to new levels of tactics and strategy. But I suspect if we asked him, his greatest achievements would be in developing players, developing people, influencing young lives and instilling key values of hard work, determination, passion, humility, and respect. Remember that Mr. King's training was as a teacher. He encourages his players to become good citizens, and long after they step off the ice, they continue to achieve great things and give back to their communities. While he was with our College of Physical Education as a coach, he also took on the role of recreation coordinator, where he oversaw intramural leagues and ensured that all University of Saskatchewan students had an opportunity to be physically active, to be well-rounded people. He continues to lead by example and support our university, most recently serving as the honorary chair of the extremely successful Home Ice campaign last year, which has resulted in the construction of our new rink, Marilla Belcher Place. After many decades of trying, it was Dave King that took us over the edge and made it happen. In every way, Mr. King demonstrates the incredible impact of a life lived in service. I would like to close with a quote from the Greek general Pericles. This quote was included in one of the letters of support for Mr. King's honorary degree nomination, and it goes like this: "What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others." Dave King's legacy is woven into the lives of thousands, including all of us here today, as we recognize his passion for encouraging others and to serve the greater good, whether that is on the ice or in our daily lives. Eminent Chancellor, I present to you Dave King and ask that you confer on him the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the legislature of the province, and with the consent of the Senate of this university, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and invest you with all the powers, rights, and privileges pertaining thereto. Then I shake your hand. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I should also said a lot of good things about me. I got to tell you a story about my time. First of all, I want to thank everybody very much from the University of Saskatchewan for this wonderful honor. It is a real thrill for me to be back and to be honored in such a way. And it's a university that's very close to me. I love this university. I was very fortunate to be a student here for 5 years, get my 2 undergraduate degrees, and then enjoy some coaching time here. But they said a lot of wonderful things. I got to tell you, though, that in the late 60s, the University of Saskatchewan came up with the campus police, okay? And I got to tell you that I was not just a pretty good student. I was really a clever guy. Parking was always a big issue. You could never get a parking spot. Same now, it hasn't changed. So I'd bring my old 58 black Austin that hardly ran to the university. I'd drive up, and what I would do, say I had a class in the arts building, I'd park in front, I'd lift the hood of the car like it broke down, I'd go into my class, come back out, close the hood, drive off. Now, it worked really well for about 2 weeks, and then they caught me. So I was fairly clever, but I did get caught. I want to thank, again, the university, and I've been lucky. When you're coaching, the main thing that we do, we work with people. And I've been asked many times to speak to corporations, companies, educational institutions about working with people, because we work with people at a very interesting time. We work with people when there's lots of pressure on. We work with people when they have to get things done. They've got to do the job right. So I'm going to attempt in my brief talk here to talk a little bit about some things I've learned over 40 years of coaching that I think have some relevance to you in your careers. You've proven your academic competence and you've done very well, but now you're going to leave, many of you are going to leave the world of the University of Saskatchewan and get out into the real world. So there's some things coming up that'll be very interesting for you. I'm going to give you 5 observations in hopes that gives you a little bit of food for thought when you get out in the working world. And these are things I've picked up along the way through working with people, because that's really what coaching is. It's working with people and trying to get the best out of people, and it's not always successful. I've had, I think, lots of successes with players, but there's also times when you just don't connect. It doesn't get done, and that's the way it is. Here's 5 observations for you. The first one, it doesn't really matter what occupation you're in. Talent alone will not be enough. Talent alone will not be enough. I've coached some very highly talented people with, I would say, a lack of character is what it is, and they've been classic underachievers. I've also had the chance on many more occasions to work with people with average talent, but have a great amount of character. They really cared. They pursued their careers, both in education and in their sport. And they worked at it. And they achieved things far beyond what anybody expected. And that's based upon character. It wasn't talent, it was character. So I always tell the guys, their best piece of equipment is their character. Their best piece of equipment is their character. The second thing, to me, it doesn't really matter what profession you're in. You have to be a student of your game or the student of your profession. You have to constantly look to get better. And in today's fast-changing world, I'm not sure you get better, you just keep up, because the world is changing so fast that you've got to keep working at your game, because there's new technologies, there's new things happening. You've got to be on the leading edge if you want to be the best. So you've got to work at it. So that constant effort to improve is important. But the key to that constant work is simple. If you constantly work at something, pretty soon you find a little fascination with it. And suddenly when you get a little fascination, it becomes more than a job. The job is more than a job. It becomes your passion. It becomes something you learn from something, you learn something every day. And when you get to that point, that's when jobs are very satisfying, is when you develop a passion for what you're doing. And that's in your hands. If you constantly want to get better, if you're relentless to improve, you will fall in love with your profession. And I've been lucky for 40 years to do something that a lot of hockey fans think is really easy, and maybe it is. The third thing that I think is very important is it doesn't matter what level of achievement you reach. Really, it's your choice. You have a choice as to where and how far you want to go. Are you prepared to do more than the job pays you to do? Are you prepared to give more than people expect? If you are, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be successful at what you do. You know, in sport, nobody plays to lose. Believe me, nobody in sport plays to lose. But some don't play hard enough to win. There are people in every profession just like that. They don't play hard enough to win. They do enough to keep their job. They do enough to stay in a comfortable position. The difficulty with that is that sometimes in time, they get a bit of a victim mindset. Others are moving ahead, others are getting promotions, and they're not. And many, many times, it's not that they're doing the wrong things or the wrong actions, it's inaction. They're letting the game go by. They're letting the parade go by. They're watching, they're not digging in, They're not trying to get better. So that's very, very important. Our world today has so many, it's got an amazing abundance of opportunity. You're so lucky to be going into the generations you're going into, because if you're a self-starter and you take positive actions, you can accomplish some amazing things, and I know you will. We'll be talking about some of you graduates in the future about the great things that you've done. The fourth thing, because you're from the University of Saskatchewan and we're all leaders, likely in your careers early, you'll be asked to step into some leadership roles. Now, leadership style is really important, and it tends to change as you get older and get more experience. Your style of leadership will change. As you gain confidence and gain competence, you find your style starts to change a little bit. My style of leadership has changed over the years, and about 20 years ago, I kind of settled on, my style was simple for me. Hard to please, but easy to play for. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted attention to detail. I wanted the job done right. I wanted to be the best. But I tried to create an environment where people were comfortable to share their ideas and their opinions. And by doing that, we did some wonderful things. I was very fortunate to coach a group of players back in '82, '83 at the University of Saskatchewan. And they taught me more than I taught them. They taught me the importance of character. One thing that's very important is never forget in your daily routines the power of a smile. It really helps people. Or the power of the human connection, a positive human connection, a pat on the back. It goes a long way. If you do that, you're going to find you get a lot out of people. They're going to enjoy what they're doing. And when you enjoy what you're doing, you generally put more into it. And then obviously everybody gets more out of it. The fifth and last thing I want to say about working with people, you cannot escape adversity. Oh, I wish you could, but you can't. And in many ways, I think adversity is an important thing. Every person in every job, almost every day, faces some adversity. And there's various levels of adversity, to very severe to minor detailed things. But one thing I've always remembered is that it is the partner to progress. Adversity is the partner to progress. It forces everybody in the group to work for each other, to be cooperative, to collaborate. It becomes not who is right, it becomes what is right. And you can achieve some amazing things when that happens. I've found over the years, when you can overcome adversity, you build what we generally call chemistry. And chemistry, to me, has a little bit of magic to it. Because when you get chemistry in any group, in any activity, in any endeavor, when you get some chemistry within your colleagues, the whole has a chance to be greater than the sum of the parts. And any time you can take a group of people with a common goal and suddenly the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, that's when things take off. And that's when you can really, really achieve things. In dealing with adversity, I found there's two broad categories of people. Two broad categories of people. There are those that can carry others, and there are those that need to be carried by others. I've always preferred the carriers versus the carried. And we have a term in sport, and I think it's in life generally speaking, that describes people that carry others in times of stress. They're called winners. They're called winners. They're people in tough times that find a way. They're people in difficult times that lift other people, show them a way, infuse a little positivity to a difficult situation. They're people you can rely on and count on, and that's what you need to do with your professions. I want to wish you all great success. Our time on this planet is very limited, unfortunately very limited, and when you get older like me, you start to wonder about when is that going to end. But your time is limited. It is your time, and you'd like to leave your mark on your game. And I want to wish you great success in doing that. Enjoy the convocation. I hope you and your parents are very proud of what you've done. You've proven academic competence, and now you've got to start the wheel turning again in the next step of the real world. Good luck, and go Huskies go. Thank you.
Eminent Chancellor, Mr. President, members of the University Senate and Board, I present to you the petition of the Council of this university that the candidates to be named, having fulfilled all the requirements of the bylaws, may, with your permission, be admitted to the degrees, diplomas, and certificates to which they are entitled.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the legislature of this province, and with the consent of the council of this university, I consent to admit you to the degrees, diplomas, and certificates to which you are entitled, and to vest you with all the powers, rights, and privileges pertaining thereto.
Graduates, if I could have your attention for a moment to give you some information about how to proceed. As you enter the stage on this side, please stop and face the audience so that a hood can be put over your shoulders. Once you've been hooded, would you proceed to the first podium where one of the orators will announce your name. Once you have stood by the first podium for a moment, then you can proceed to shake the hand of the Chancellor. That's him. And the Chancellor will tell you you've been admitted to Convocation, so that's a big moment for you. You'll then continue across the stage to this side of the stage, where you'll be greeted by the President and the Dean or Associate Dean of your college, and will receive your parchment from them. As you go down the steps, you'll be welcomed as new members of the University of Saskatchewan Alumni Association by a representative of the association. So if I could ask the graduates in the front row to stand and start proceeding towards the stage.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Engineering, I present to you these scholars and ask that you will confer on them the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering, Chemical Engineering. Eric Murray Arneson. Angela Babby with distinction. James Barquay with distinction. He Ching with distinction. Avery Pauline Cornelius with great distinction. Andrea Antonia Crymans with great distinction. Tyler Kenneth Dick. Jeremy Dwight Gerbrand. Alexander Gunn. Kelsey Marie Yvette Hamlin with distinction. Trevor Andrew Kanash with great distinction. Colton Dwayne Kitson. Jamie Lisa Rosemary Lebrec. Nicholas Michael Leffler. Stefan Danielle Lecodini. Duncan Craig McKenzie. Henry Galera. Louis Nguyen, with great distinction. Tai Tun and Nguyen, with distinction. Alexander Petrie. Geraldine Reflerido Sadia, with great distinction. Dylan Sidney Blair Scheibelhofer. Kurt von Schmitz, with distinction. Alexis Delaney Schur. Yu-Chen Si, with great distinction. Harsimran Singh. Thomas Grant Specht, with distinction. Yulun Sun. Boyan Suzik. Bun Hui Tam. Grace Tan. Madison Page Terrace, with distinction. Evangelius Alphonse Wiegers, with great distinction. Ryan Nicholas Wirtz. Thomas Edward Yee, with distinction. Yuzhao Zhang, with distinction. Civil Engineering, Brishank Adhikari. Marcus Jake Elger. Cody Richard Anderson. Helyer Luan Artunduaga. Eamon Ahmed Aselva.
Andrew Joseph Basin. Carmen Annette Boss. Anna Marie Campbell, with distinction. Clayton Joel Deku, with great distinction. Kyla Alana Dietz. Benjamin Larry Rex Fallman. Anthony Stewart Farrow. Kevin Daniel Fricola. Udara Budika Hinsenya. Riley Paul Houle. Paige Hu. Lydia Jargis. Dana Kathleen Johnson. Jared Mitchell Komaiki, with distinction. Adam Benjamin Leck, with distinction. Carly Marie Ross Lowe. Nathan Bart Morhart. An Min Nguyen. Christian Thomas Nielsen. Randall Gary Parento. Mark Stephen Prodale. Curry Robert Reach. Scott William Riggy. Dennis Sayes. Wanying Shi. Sean Blair Stevens, with distinction. Daniel Gordon Sirkin, with great distinction. Daniel Jacob Thomas. Rethan Thomas. Todd Jackson Thorne. Jonah Tupper, with distinction. Yifei Wang. Brandon Scott Williams, with distinction. Hao Jizhang. Taya Lynn Zielinski, with distinction. Computer engineering. Elizabeth Margaret Adams, with distinction. Olowadui de Miladeyo Emmanuel Adeoye. Kevin Purdy Baker, with distinction. Liam Ross Bindle, with great distinction. Riel David Castro Zanti, with great distinction. Andy Hanwai Chung. Austin Leroy Culver, with distinction. Ryan Michael Dittmer. David Mark Hankey, with great distinction. Johnry Hay, with great distinction. Carl Lindgren Hofmeister, with distinction. Lane Michael LaRochelle. Dylan Malek. Jared Allen Manderscheit. Logan William Markowitz, with distinction. Cecilia Nguyen.
Cecilia. Congratulations.
Bradley Michael Nimegiers. Alexander Daniel Penner. Dominic Matthew Pitlack. Bryden Connor Reynolds. Electrical engineering. Shadman Saqib Ahmed. Mariana de Jesus Castillo Sosa.
Mariana. Congratulations to you.
Brittany Morgan Dugas. Sean Patrick Miles Froome. Jacob Aaron Herman. Leiba Javed. Mark Kachuk. Matthew Dean Kint. Mohammed Shahabuddin Saber Mosalami Mebruk, with great distinction. Graham Kole Ube. Mirwais Mohammed Sharif. Ayman Assad Siddiqui, with distinction. Blaine Martin Simonson, with great distinction. Weicheng Wang, with distinction. Zifeng Zhang. Engineering Physics. Brendan Matthew Barber. Joshua John Becker, with great distinction. Samuel de la Salle, with great distinction. Reed Andrew Dressler, with distinction. Lucas Fair, with great distinction. Draven Theodore Galischuk, with great distinction. Jessie Lynn Gordon, with great distinction. Clayton Joseph John Graff. Eric Allen Petro, with distinction. Tanner Jason Polischuk, with distinction. Tyler A. Radcliffe. Chad James Robertson. Connor James Shintag, with distinction. Environmental Engineering, Nathan Bettman, with distinction. Tyler John Pierre Cassavant, with great distinction. Brendan Mitchell Duray, with distinction. Haley Dawn Kirkpatrick Sleuth. Ryan Kelly Miller. Elise Joan Nelson, with distinction. Curtis Alexander Shivak. Geological Engineering, Logan Gibb Balquill. Kaylin Edward Gillies. Rochelle Lauren Hartman. James John Wesley Hearn. Dylan Trent Knittig. Devin Robert Parker. Lucas Alexander Pust. Chelsea Rollick. Stuart Lane Robertson. Dylan Mackenzie Saunch. Pauline Carol Escobar Sarmiento. Michael Pierce Van Dyke. Mechanical Engineering, Nathan Edwin Ablis. Hi, thank you. Joshua Alexander Aguirre. Hiba Osama El Eldrisi. Jordan Glenn Kevin Arco, with distinction. Tamsaki Awaola Asawo. Joshua Aaron Banman. Scott James Berry, with distinction. Leila Ann Beckawy. Joseph Matthew Boog, with distinction. Derek Joseph Bishop, with distinction. Kyle William Bober, with distinction. Benjamin Joseph Clark, with distinction. Kyle David Rene J. Dansereau, with distinction. Nicholas Philip DeWalt, with distinction. Jordan Riley Dupuis, with distinction. Garrett Kevin Dutton. Alvaro Andres Espinoza Maldonado, with great distinction. Sohail Fotui. Ross Callender Friesen. Matthew Raymond Grierson. Riley Edward Jerfy, with distinction. Michael A. Hales, with distinction. Grant Richard Henneberg, with great distinction. Daniel Todd Holzer. Connell Derek Hunka. Jaden Corby Kaminsky. Hussam Katu. Robert Monty Keene, with distinction. Trevor James Kopp. Devin Kemper. Jisoo Lee, with distinction. Jufeng Lin. Zhanghao Liu. Anthony Albert Leffen. Xiao Ma, with distinction. Give me your card. Thank you. Peter Raymond Ma. Kendall Alexander McFall. Logan Hanley Mitchell, with distinction. Aidan Mark Monahan. Samuel Morris. Eric Gerald Norman Olson, with great distinction. Martin Opstein. Shania Marie Harjuline Predicala. Ryan Patrick Quinn, with distinction. Kyle Joseph Robertson. Mathurin Thomas Rooney. Troy Ross Zalzelborzel, with great distinction. Logan Daniel Sanderson, with distinction. Tejinderpal Singh Sikon. Amarjit Singh. Patrick Daniel Slattery. Danesh Somana, with distinction. Matthew James Stefaniuk, with distinction. Chad Arthur Stevens, with distinction. Liam Thomas Sundstrom. Dustin Lee Thompson. Shanoa Lynn Tracy. Xavier Von Pitt. Yukun Yang. Brett Jordan Yeager. Houston Gerald Zattery. Dylan Evan Zalewski, with great distinction. Kyle Preston Zander. Ryan Zazula.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, I present to you these scholars from the College of Engineering and ask that you will confer on them the degree of Master of Engineering. I present to you Hashim Daud Shah. Jonathan Barossa Derayo. Raik Tamer Marzouk. Jasleen Kar Jasper Singh Matharu. Reagan Emily Shemanowski. Faye Tan. Unyemi Basi Umo. Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, I present to you these scholars from the College of Engineering and ask that you will confer on them the degree of Master of Science. I present to you Ryan Aaron Berneski. Hong Tang Cao. Sandeep Raja Dangeti. Anurag Das. Kwandin Tam Duong. Damilola Emmanuel Fidel. Opiola Elijah Fidel. Osan Guinness. Joshua Pauls. Takshak Kudor Shetty. Jeremy William Vanderbush. Ladies and gentlemen, it is customary at the University of Saskatchewan that after being admitted to their degree, our PhD graduates will be met by their supervisor and escorted to join the platform party in a symbolic welcome to a global community of scholars. Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, I present to you these scholars and ask that you will confer on them the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. I present to you Wahab Alabi. Philip Effa Boheni. Rui Liu. Lyman Dennis Ordez Moreno. Likun Ning. Adesola Olufadi. Bin Tuan Vo. Fu Yu. Please join me in congratulating these graduates on their certificates and degrees.
Eminent Chancellor, in the name of the faculties, I ask you to grant the degrees, diplomas, and certificates in absentia to those students who have met the requirements to graduate but were not able to be present today.
At the request of the faculties, I authorize these degrees, diplomas, and certificates to be granted.
Parents, graduates, colleagues, what a wonderful, wonderful day. I've been the Dean of Engineering now for 5 months. I am thrilled to be here, thrilled to be part of the province of Saskatchewan, and very proud of every one of our graduates. It is my privilege to present to you Eric Olson, who is the winner of our Most Distinguished Graduate Award for the College of Engineering. Eric hails from Saskatoon and is the son of Dr. Valerie Verge, professor in anatomy and cell biology and a neuroscience researcher at the University of Saskatchewan, and Ole Olsen, a farmer from the town of Plenty, Saskatchewan. Eric's desire to pursue engineering stemmed in large part from his agricultural background and from being exposed to farm machinery by his father and his grandfather from an early age. His mother's influence is evident in his choice to pursue an academic research career, beginning as an NSERC undergraduate researcher for the past 3 summers, and continuing in the fall in the University of Saskatchewan's Masters of Science program in Mechanical Engineering as a Canada Graduate Scholarship recipient. Eric's undergraduate research was performed in the lab of Dr. Jack Gray in the Department of Biology and dealt primarily with designing flight simulators to interface with insect nervous systems for flight behavior experiments. His work as a graduate student under the co-supervision of Dr. Travis Weens from the Department of Mechanical Engineering and Dr. Jack Gray seeks to model the insect flight behavior data from the Gray lab with potential applications in vehicle guidance and control. Outside of school and research, Eric has been involved with the U of S aero design team since the start of his undergraduate degree, serving as technical director and surfaces lead in the 2015-16 and 2017-18 school years, respectively. Now, this team placed 14th in the competition they went to in Florida earlier this term, and just getting into that competition is a significant achievement. So he excels outside the classroom as well. Eric's hobbies include cooking, boat building, 3D printing and design, hiking, amateur freshwater invertebrate collecting, and singing Swedish folk music. I think it sounds like he'd be a great guy to go on a road trip with. In the future, Eric hopes to continue his research combining engineering with biology in the pursuit of nature-inspired solutions to complex engineering problems. His long-term goal is to pursue a PhD in mechanical engineering with a focus on biomimetrics and become an engineering professor, allowing him to fulfill his interests in both research and teaching. Eric, congratulations.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, my colleagues on stage, engineering graduates of 2018, parents and family, it is my great pleasure to introduce the Spring 2018 recipient of the University Staff Excellence Award, Dale Claude. And Dale, could you stand up? But first, a little about this award. Up until this year, the University Staff Excellence Award was known as the President's Service Award, which was established in 1994. Both awards espouse the exemplary contributions of non-academic staff members who provide extraordinary service to the university, who have inspired and supported others, and whose dedication and commitment deserve our recognition. The one key difference is that the University Staff Excellence Award, this award, takes into account our university values, such as creativity, sustainability, diversity, and reconciliation. It is without a doubt that Mr. Dale Claude, the inaugural recipient of the University Staff Excellence Award, exemplifies these values. Dale, for almost 40 years, has dedicated his career to improving the student experience in the College of Engineering. As a lab coordinator in the Department of Chemical and Biological Engineering, he transformed what was once a dark, poorly lit lab in a basement into what his external reviewers hail as one of the best such labs in Canada. But his influence extends well beyond the walls of his world-class, exceptionally maintained lab. He has been a mentor to countless of students during his time on our campus, sharing with them his insights and inspiration. Students note his patience, knowledge, and approachability. Through his dedication, students witness firsthand what knowledge and tools are required to succeed in addressing real-world problems in the field of engineering to improve society and the shape of the world to come. In fact, it was the Chemical Engineering Students Society, a group of about 50 students, who helped nominate Dale for this honor. Good on you guys. To only focus on Dale's contribution to the student experience, however, does not tell his full story. His colleagues as well have benefited greatly from his respectful and knowledgeable manner. He is an insightful and inspiring colleague who approaches his work with dedication, open-mindedness, and inclusivity. His colleagues have noted his leadership, foresight, and strategic thinking as key to the expansion and advancement of the department's teaching lab. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dale Claude, to thank him for his dedicated service to the University of Saskatchewan, and to present him with the University Staff Excellence Award. They hid the envelope for me, excuse me. Congratulations, Dale. I think we got to come over here.
Could I ask you to direct your attention to the video screen for a message from our Alumni Association?
Mr. President and faculty and distinguished students, this brings our convocation ceremony for this morning, in any event, to a close. But before we do, I would like to thank a number of people. First, Darren Orliking and the University Wind Orchestra. Very good, there he is. Our vocalist, Angela Urichanine. Angela? Very good. Our drum group, Buffalo Boys Productions. Our traditional knowledge keeper, Bob Badger. And the teams from the Convocation Office and the Office of the University Secretary, all of whom played an important role in making these ceremonies such a success. I think they deserve a very big hand. Now, finally, to the graduates. I can state the obvious. You have studied hard to earn your degree or degrees, and I wish you continued success throughout your lives, both personally and professionally, and can only say on behalf of all of us, congratulations again. It is my hope, thanks to your precious experience here at this great university, your education has prepared you to meet some of our society's great challenges and needs. And there are many: how to heal an injured child, transform people's perspectives, protect a human right, engineer homes to shelter, write poetry that explains joy and loss of joy, how to deploy capital to produce and market new products, and how to ensure that food production demands are met, and many more. All of these are designed to work for a better and improved just state and a better and improved quality of life for all of us. Earning your degree will show you value for a lifetime to come, especially from this university. And the education you have received from the U of S has prepared you to meet these challenges head on. I'm sure that all the parents and relatives and friends share in that sentiment. And I'll close by saying one last word to the graduates. Follow your dreams, because that's where you'll find your true passion and comfort. And in the end, that's really what we want you, each one of you, to do as a graduate of this great University of Saskatchewan. Thank you all for participating in this morning's session. In closing, I would ask that you remain at your seats until the platform party has left the stage. Thank you very much.